Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello everyone, we are from Group 11. Today, we would like to present about non-experimental exposed facto or causal comparative. The group members are Cindona Ompumona, Eva Nur Kumala, and Sefy Nur Aini. Definition: exposed facto is a research that related variables are immediately observable and find out about the antecedents that give rise to this consequence. Causal comparative study is a study that involves determining cause and effect between two or more groups. Causal comparative study is where the researcher tries to determine the causes or reasons as well as differences that already exist within groups of individuals. Exposed facto, the meaning of this Latin term is from after the fact. The expression means that the research in question is carried out after the independent variable that occurs in the series of events experienced. This exposed facto study understands the relationship between phenomena naturally without the intervention of researchers. In this study, researchers have control over the independent variable.
The researcher of experimental research designed before conducting the research based on the hypothesis, but non-experimental prepared before the researcher carried out the research process. And then experimental can control all variables except the dependent variable and also manipulating variable or treatment to control variable, but non-experimental doesn't control any variable. And then the existence of an experiment group and control group from experimental research that must be equal, but non-experimental research there is no experimental group and control group. And then the last, there is an independent variable that is conditioned as a treatment for experimental research, but non-experimental has no independent variables. The independent variables were carried out before conducting the research. Okay, next. This is some kind of exposed factor, also characteristic, advantage, and disadvantage. The kind of exposed factor, the first is causal research. Causal research is a study that involves collecting data to determine whether there is a relationship and level of relationship between two or more variables. Correlation research has three important characteristics for researchers who want to use it. It is correlation research is appropriate if complex variable and research are unlikely to manipulate and control variable, and then allows variables to be measured intensively in real setting, and then allow researchers to earn significant degrees of association. And then causal comparative. Causal comparative research is a basic comparative causal approach involving researcher activities that begins by identifying the influence of one variable on another. Then he seeks to find the possible causative variable. For the example, what effect does it have if a child without kindergarten then goes straight to first grade in elementary school? That is example from causal comparative. And then for the characteristic exposed facto, data is collected after all events occur, and then bound variables are determined first. Also, descriptive research explains its finding as observed, and correlational research, trying to find causal relationship of phenomena studied. And the last, experimental research and ex post facto basic logic used and could to be achieved equally. For the example, if X, then Y. Okay, the next advantage of ex post facto research. The first is suitable for circumstances that cannot be done with experimental research, and then information about the nature of what phenomena occur, with what they occur, under what condition phenomena occur, and in sequences and patterns as to what phenomena occur, and then advance in statistical technique make ex post facto design more enduring. Okay, for the disadvantage, the first is lack of control of free variable. It is difficult to ascertain whether the causal factor have been included and identified. And then no single factor is causing a result. And then a phenomenon may not only be the result of many causes. And you can read some disadvantages in our paper for more disadvantage. Okay, we can go to the next slide.
The next is ex post facto research measure. To get good research results, researchers need to take the following steps. The first is formulation of problem. The formulation of the specific problem formulation must contain cause for the emergence of dependent variables, which are known based on the result of research that has been done or the interpretation of researchers to the result of observation of the phenomenon studied. And the second is hypothesis after the problem is formulated. The research must be able to identify a counterpoint or alternative that may be able to explain the relationship between independent and dependent variable. And the third is grouping data determination of the group of subjects to be divided. First of all, the group that is applied must have characteristics that become the consensus of the research. Next, researchers choose groups that didn't have this characteristic of different level. And the number 4, data collection. Only the necessary data is collected, both relating to dependent variable and with regard to factors that are possible for the emergence of counter hypotheses. And then number 5, data analysis. Data analysis technique used, similar to those used in differential research as well as experiments, where the comparison of the value of dependent variable is done between group of subjects on the basis of factors that become consensual. Then the last is interpretation of result. Of course, statement in this study need to be done carefully. The quality of relationship between independent and dependent variable depends largely on the research's ability to select homogeneous comparison group and the belief that the emergence of counter hypotheses can be prevented. For example, researchers want to see the influence of relationship of learning motivation to or with learning achievement based on the guardian of student. The student's learning motivation variable has been in the student itself, just not measured. That is, it has happened before without having to be manipulated by researchers. The guardian of the student has been clear, just choosing and grouping into two categories, namely men and women. Students' learning achievement can be measured and can also use achievement data that has been in school, such as repeat grading or report value. Students are selected for a particular class as much as is required by the same number between male and female students. Motivation learns as a free variable, gender as a control variable, and learning achievement as a bound variable. And you can look on the table. It means relationship analysis can be done by looking at the average score of learning motivation measures result X with the average score of learning achievement measure results Y. Furthermore, researchers can analyze the relationship between the average score of male student learning motivation measure results XY and the average score of male student learning achievement measure results Y1. The same is so for female students, namely the relationship between X2 and Y2. In addition, researchers can also compare the learning motivation of male and female students, and we can say X1 with X2, and differences in learning achievement of male and female students, and we can say Y1 with Y2. That's all our presentation. Thank you very much and wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.